Hey folks, lots of hype and videos recently released on the internet about Amelia Earhart and the plane, possible location, and whatnot. Um, they all talk about the line that she was flying, but no one really mentions the critical fact that they desperately made calls while still airborne, saying they were on the line 157337, which is a magnetic heading. No one talks about the significance of this info. The reasoning is because there is a chain of underwater volcanoes along this line that have tops that stick out of the water, making little small islands and atolls all along this line. So if they had to ditch, being bingo fuel, they could ditch on a lagoon and not out in the open ocean where they would surely perish. That chain of islands was the last ditch lifeline, and she had no intentions of putting it down in the open water. She put it down on land, 100% guarantee. That was always the plan. But no one talks about this fact. They just mention it in passing, and I'm like, why are they talking about this? Well, if you look on either side of that line that stretches between Howland and that Nicarima or whatever island that it was called, the Garner Island, there's just a straight stretch of little small islands. You can zoom in on Google Earth and look down and you can see them all popped up. Barely large enough to land a plane, barely. So I think she picked the biggest one and put it down. It's funny, no one talks about it. No one's connecting the dots, apparently. But yeah, pull it up on Google Maps and you'll see the underwater topography.
California, where she was met with an eager press and a cheering crowd.
The landing flight, I had ice conditions and general storm. On this flight, really no bad weather at all except a few little rain squalls. I saw the moon and stars most of the night.
We started out investigating aviation mysteries, but avoiding the Amelia Earhart mystery. I reasoned that she probably just ran out of gas looking for a tiny island in a big ocean, and the whole thing just seemed like a media circus, and I didn't want any part of it. In 1988, two of our members approached me. They said, we have a theory about Amelia Earhart, and they pointed out that the last thing that Earhart said in flight over the radio, she said she was flying on a particular line and running north and south. And the first thing we found out is this was not a new Amelia Earhart theory. This is the oldest theory. This is what the U.S. Navy thought happened in 1937. And then there were all these radio distress calls that were heard for night after night after night after she disappeared, and radio bearings were taken on those calls. And the best ones cross near this island. Well, this is all making a lot of sense. I guess we need to go and check out that island. Well, there was no big silver airplane lurking in the bushes. But there were airplane parts in the abandoned village that was on the island.
After her last radio transmission, about 8:45 in the morning, they waited for a while and they kept trying to contact her, and then they signaled back to others back in Hawaii that they had lost her signal, they couldn't find her. And immediately after that, the Coast Guard and the Navy started gearing up for a search to try to see if she had come down somewhere. Now, there really aren't many places that she could have come down on land, but they searched waters, they searched some of the islands that were within a few hundred miles and did all they could. It was a massive sea-air search.
So yeah, folks, apparently they're going to do another search. They're going to continue searching supposedly in November. I don't know if that was this past November or November coming up, but yeah, they think they have some satellite imagery of a questionable object they've named Taraya. I guess that's kind of like Mariah Carey, that is, and it's inside the lagoon. What they theorize is that it either got washed into the lagoon, which I think would have probably landed it in the lagoon. I would have landed for sure, and not on that coral reef around the outside. With the crashing waves and given the prevailing winds, that were coming probably from the northeast when she was trying to land. That's exactly where I would have tried to put it down, inside the lagoon. Some people speculate that she put it down on the western side of the island where the SS Norwich City, which is a wrecked vessel, because apparently she didn't she did mention that wreckage in some of her broadcasts that were later picked up by amateur radio listeners. In the U.S., one named Betty in Florida. You can look it up. Betty thought she was talking about New York City, which caused some confusion, but it looks like she may have been talking about this wreckage because she could probably see the name on the hull, but she did not know the name of the island where she was marooned. Really interesting information on the Earhart Project website. If you get a chance, check it out. They actually found human remains that match Amelia's body dimensions. They found some artifacts that are consistent with a woman's personal items, maybe in a purse from the 1930s. On the southeastern side of the island, they named it Seven Site because there's a unique pattern of dead coral rubble in the shape of a number 7 behind some vegetation in that area. But yeah, check it out, and thanks for watching. Later.